Welcome to Manifest with Melanie. I'm your host, Melanie Mishler, equal parts woo-woo, neuroscience, somatics, and strategy. Each week, we slow things down and have raw, honest conversations about what it actually takes to create a soul-aligned life and business. I share proven tools to help you move through blocks and manifest in the real world. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, love, and welcome back to the podcast and happy spring. Today, I want to talk about something really important, which is manifesting in midlife, because manifesting in our 40s, 50s, and beyond is actually really different than in our 20s and 30s. You might hear me say this, but I always say, manifesting between 45 and 75, that is really our prime power times. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but when we're younger, we're usually going after things like the education, career, money, house, relationship, family. It's a really powerful time where we're building and we are discovering ourselves. We're making mistakes. We're really learning about our strengths and our weaknesses and our desires and all kinds of things, right? It's a really powerful time, but we're also at that time, we're usually following some kind of sociological conditioning of what we're told we should want. And we're doing this whether we know we're doing it or not. That's what's actually happening. It's happening through advertisement, through conditioning. And during this really active state of growth, we're trying to create a life for ourselves. But what happens is for many, once we hit our 40s, usually it's like the mid to late 40s, things start to shift. It's like, I've been there, done that, right? We've created the life. We had the family. We got the education and the career and checked all those boxes. And we did all the things we were told, either explicitly or implicitly by society, that we were supposed to do. But then something really interesting happens. Suddenly, all those things that we once wanted so badly, things that we worked really hard to create, they can start to feel heavy or restrictive, sometimes even suffocating. And this is where manifestation really shifts, because usually at this stage, we're craving something much deeper. We want things like purpose and freedom and sovereignty, or, our personal power. We want inner peace inside of ourselves. And this is what happens. Like when many women come to me, they're coming to me at this season of life. It's really a season of refinement. It's one of both truth asking and deep, deep truth telling. And in this time, many women, they're starting to ask these deeper questions. And the questions are like, okay, but now what do I really want? Like, what do I actually want? Not what did I want then? Not what looks good on Instagram, but what do I really want? And it's really important to honor this place instead of judging it, because here's what happens. Very often I'll hear women say, yeah, but I should be further along, or things like, I have the life that I've always wanted, right? I have a good life. I worked really hard for this. Or the worst one, I hear this, I just should be grateful for what I have. And man, that one, it's such a gut punch, because love, here's the thing, you can be deeply, deeply grateful for your life and at the same time still want more. And I'm going to say that again in a different way, because this is so fucking important. Wanting more does not make you ungrateful. It doesn't make you selfish. It doesn't make you discontent. It makes you honest. And it means that something inside of you is growing and evolving. And what happens is, if you ignore that, if you push that down, when you tell yourself just, be grateful and stop wanting more, you don't become more peaceful. You just become disconnected and restless. Because we all know by this point in our life that the truth doesn't go away if we ignore it, right? We have enough lived experience to know it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And so manifesting in this season of life is very different. I see a lot of women who they have this desire to either completely pivot, change careers. There's a lot of starting businesses, turning passion projects into income. Like that's a huge thing at this stage of life. And another one is really redefining relationships, not because something's wrong, but because maybe something deeper is waking up. And here's the thing that makes this time so powerful and why I love working with women at this stage of life, because we actually have this huge advantage now because we have all of this lived experience, this wisdom. We've seen what works and what doesn't work. And we've already manifested and created really big things throughout our life. Even if you don't consider it that, that's what we've done. But most importantly, like one of the biggest assets that we have is that we've lived through big things. We've traversed challenges that maybe at the time felt devastating, like we didn't have the strength to get through them. And yet we learned with every challenge, we learned that we're so resilient and we have this power inside of us that shows up, and it shows up especially when we need it. And this means that on some level, we already know how powerful we are. We just have to remember our strength and stop worrying that we're too old or it's too late or anything like that. And I'll speak from personal experience because many of you know that what I desired as I moved into midlife was very different than what I wanted in my 30s and 40s. Because at that time, my husband and I had built this incredible career as professional photographers. It was great. We loved it. It was fun. But the amount of energy it took to sustain it and the amount of pressure on the relationship, it was exhausting. And quite honestly, it was a great career, but I knew deep in my cells that it wasn't my life's work. It wasn't my purpose. And at the same time, because we were so busy and working so much, I also wanted something quieter. I wanted a more intentional life, something that was more, aligned. And so just this last year, I moved to Belize. And so now my days look very, very different. My days are much, much slower, much softer. I have time for yoga and writing and body work and teaching and time to actually be in my life. And what I'm learning is that a lot of women are craving this kind of space at this season in life, especially like as we move into our 50s. There's this natural desire to simplify and to release what no longer is working for you. It's kind of like moving out of a house. When we moved out of the house in California, oh my gosh, we had to get rid of 15 years of accumulated stuff in our beautiful home. And here at this time in life, it's where it's less about stuff and it's more about purpose and intention. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I might just be mumbling this up, but anyway, I think the question that we start asking in midlife is not just what do I want, but what actually matters? Like what feels good in my body? And I think the biggest question is, what kind of life do I actually want to wake up to every day? Because we only have this one life. And in reality, we really only have right now. So this is why manifestation becomes so much deeper at this stage of life. It's not about adding more. It's about refining and choosing intentionally. We're distilling down clarity. It's almost like making a really good vodka. That's what I always equate it to. And one of the things I think that becomes easier at this point of life is finding the courage to say, what worked for me at one point in my life, it's not what I want anymore, or it's not serving me anymore. And that can be anything. It can be a habit. It can be a relationship, a job, it really, really anything. But with that, it can also be kind of scary because sometimes that means letting go of things that you worked really hard to create. So when you do this though, sometimes it can feel like going backwards. And I want you to know it's not going backwards. You're evolving. That version of you that built your current life, she did her job. She got you here. And now it's time to ask, like, who am I becoming next? And really starting to step into that and stepping into it with all of that hindsight, all of that wisdom. And so if you have that quiet voice saying, there's more inside me, or I want something more or different, not more stuff necessarily, but just something different. I really want you to trust that voice and listen to her because it's not confusion. It is not confusion. It's your inner wisdom coming through. It's clarity trying to come through. And you should know by now that you've manifested so many great things throughout your life that you can create anything that you desire. So, all right, my love, I hope I didn't ramble on too much in this episode. It was kind of just like off the cuff, but um until next week, keep manifesting an epic life.